Hello and welcome to Maunalua Past, Present, and Future. My name is Mardi LaPrade and I'm a volunteer with the Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. And we have some special guests here today. They're going to help us learn about Keawāwa Wetland and the endangered ŌleloNet, the Hawaiian moorhen. So Keawāwa Wetland is a small section of a once giant wetland which at one time was used by the Hawaiians as a fish pond. But today, this marshy little edge of what was once the largest fish pond in all of Polynesia is now known as Keawāwa Wetland and is a very important sub-wetland because it is home to the ŌleloNet. Half of the wetland is on the Oahu Club property and half of the acreage purchased by the Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. Our guests today are Mahi Pierre and Amanda Sandor. Both are a part of the Hui's special grant team working to bring awareness about the endangered ŌleloNet and the importance of wetlands, and of course, especially our very own Keawāwa Wetland. Mahi, tell us about your special connection to the Hui and Keawāwa and Tawea.
Thanks for having me, Marty. My connection to the wetland goes back. Actually, I was born and raised in the area. We used to ride bicycles around there and go crabbing and fishing. And we didn't know too much about the birds and even the wetland there. It was covered in kiawe and other things. But about 20 years ago or 30 years ago, I started to learn about the heiau that was there. Yeah. I got to visit it back then, and it looks really incredible now what Livable Hawaii Kai Hui has done. And I've always loved birds since I was a kid, so when this opportunity came up to help the Hui out a little bit and get involved in my community, I wanted to try and do that best I could. Yeah. I've worked in conservation and education around the island, and I kind of want to do something a little closer to home.
Great. And Amanda, for those of our audience who've not heard of Keawāwa Wetland, tell us about the work you and your associates are doing and what type of field work you do and why it's important to understand more about the Hawaiian moorhen. And by the way, what's the scientific name of the bird?
Sure. So thank you so much for having me. Just right off the bat, the scientific name for the Hawaiian gallinule is Gallinula galeata sanvicensis. While I was in college, I have family out here, so I'm originally from the East Coast, and I came out here and interned with Charles Van Rees, who is the resident biologist for Keawāwa Wetland and has worked a lot with Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. And so I did a lot of work with the ŌleloNet and learning how to band them, how to trap them, how to take measurements and handle them, and also doing habitat surveys to see what makes a habitat suitable for them. And we're really trying to see the movements of these birds and where they're going, why they're going there.
So that's the reason for the banding.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we band them so that we can tell individuals apart, and we have citizen scientists tell us, hey, I saw this bird with these colorful bands on its legs, and these are each color has its own letter code. So, for example, any bird banded at Keawāwa has a hot pink band on its left leg, so it would have an H. So they'll say, I saw a hot pink band, but I'm at Enchanted Lakes. What does that mean for that bird? So that's what we're looking at, and so I got involved with Hawaii Kai Hui, and now that I've graduated and moved to Hawaii myself, I started working as leading volunteers at Keawāwa for our second Saturday restoration days every month. And that was about November. And then I've become the program director for the grant that we're working on, which began in February with World Wetlands Day, which we had a special event for. And it'll continue into next year for World Wetlands Day 2018, when we're going to have a big culminating event. And we have a lot of really fun stuff planned this year.
Wonderful. And Mahi, the Hawaiian cultural lens of how we view Keawāwa Wetland and the ŌleloNet are equally as important as the science that Amanda brings forth. And for those of us in our audience who don't know what I'm referring to as the cultural lens, could you please share the cultural approach and what you see on the land, and what your perspective?
Yeah, when I think of science, the word science, and I also think of Hawaiian science. So Hawaiian science is like modern science: observation, data collection. Over time, you make conclusions, a hypothesis, and so forth. In Hawaiian thinking, or I say Hawaiian science, what also is included is spirituality. So in modern science, they're not going to bring into account the akua or the gods or the kinolau, the body forms of the plants and animals. So when we think of species, plant species, the alaiula, the pinau, the dragonflies, and so forth, they are, of course, beautiful creatures in their own right, but they're also kin. They're actually our Hawaiian ancestors and kupuna, and the relationship is like their family. So even the elements and the minerals, that to me, that's one of at the core of it. Just looking at things a different way. And sometimes when I'm working with kids or adults, I share with them, imagine you're putting on a pair of Hawaiian lens shades just to look at the world a little differently. And other cultures have very, very similar viewpoints. So, yeah.
And how about the land itself? How would you describe it differently from the way I did, where it's situated?
So on the island of Oahu, in the Mokuar district of the Kona district, it's in the Ahupua'a of Waimanalo. Some people say southern Waimanalo, in the ili of Maunalua. Maunalua, that area, that land section is known to many as Hawaii Kai,
Yes.
but the name, it's Hawaiian name, and the name that we are trying to perpetuate and bring back is Maunalua, two mountains.
Oh, right. Okay, thank you. Well, I know both of you are great resources for us in our restoration efforts there at Keawāwa. Amanda, can you describe what's happened at Keawāwa over the course of your research there? What changes have you seen or been reported by observers?
Sure, absolutely. So we have, I've been there for, since 2015, I believe, was my first summer. So I spent that field season here, and then this past summer, 2016, and now I'm here all the time. So there have been a lot of really great changes. For our second Saturdays, volunteers come out either on their own time or on our specific second Saturdays, and we're getting rid of weeds, we're getting rid of invasives, we're planting native plants, creating shaded areas for the birds, and they love what we call interspersion. So they like areas where there's Bacopa monieri, which we actually have an example of here. They love to forage in that. They love to hang out in there. So there's areas of that, and they like sedges to hide in. They're very cryptic birds, so they like areas to hide in. And so as we've been clearing the wetland of these invasives that kind of take over everything, and putting in different trees and shrubs and all these kinds of things that they love, we've seen more birds come in, and we've also seen them having more babies. We've had, as the chicks have grown into adults, we've been able to band those. So we're just seeing these families expand, and it's really interesting to see how, the chick that I was there to band 2 years ago is now a young adult helping raise his little sister and brother. And we've also seen some new adults come in that we don't know where they're from. So we're really excited to band them and see if they'll go somewhere else. And the most interesting thing to me has been, we had one bird nicknamed Lele that was banded at Keawāwa. So he's got the hot pink band, and he's got purple over orange on his other leg. and he was born at Keawāwa, banded at Keawāwa, and moved over to Enchanted Lakes and started his own. He's found a mate there. He's doing great. So,
My goodness.
yeah, we've made a lot of progress. Made some really great habitat for them.
A traveler.
Yeah.
Great. And Mahi, you're from this area. So please tell us what changes you've seen in the landscape in Havea Heiau Complex and Keawāwa Wetland, and please talk about its impact and importance to the community.
So my parents moved there back in the 60s,
Mhm.
66, and my dad shared stories and my mom shared stories about how it was the sticks, it was really far from town and the boonies and so forth. And over the last 50 years, it's changed a lot.
Yes.
Just as a kid, as I mentioned, we used to go fishing and crabbing and kayaking and ride our bicycles all around the place. But you could barely see the heiau,
Yes.
and let alone the wetland. But my dad used to take my sisters to Oahu Club to go swimming when they were very young.
Yes.
And I think they remember ducks, but maybe not necessarily the Lai'ula. Havea Heiau Complex and Keawāwa Wetland are really important for people of the community in Maunalua and outside of the community and the world, because it's like a snapshot of what Hawaii was before.
Mm-hmm.
And these species, like the Lai'ula, some of them are found nowhere else in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So they become places of refuge, of healing, and of learning, meeting others in the community, and even connections to your other family members or gods or things on that level too. So it's a very populated place with a lot of concrete in Maunalua. So these natural areas and the bringing back of these natural areas are really, really important.
It is a special gem.
Yeah, it is.
Let's talk about community outreach and what you've been doing. I understand February was a busy month and April will be too. Amanda, tell us a little bit more about Second Saturdays and the outreach you did in February and why outreach effort is so important.
Sure, absolutely. So February was a busy month, as you mentioned, and every month we have Second Saturdays. So I believe we have a couple of pictures from Second Saturday. So we have, sometimes we're lucky enough to have cultural leaders come out, and here's an example of our volunteers listening to Kalea, one of our cultural volunteers, and just learning a little bit about why the heiau is so important and why it's so important to respect the land that we're on. And we do a little orientation every month and tell everybody why we're there and what we're going to be doing. And then we weed, we water plants, we put mulch in. We created this pathway here. We're planting natives that are grown in the Hawaii Kai Hui nursery nearby. And so we just have a lot of really great volunteers come out from the Navy, from local high schools, people that have seen us at our outreach events. They'll come out and they'll say, hey, I saw you at Bishop Museum, and I was really interested in what you were saying. So here's myself, here's my family. We get a lot of anybody, all ages, people come out. And so at the Bishop Museum on February 12th, they had Fall in Love with Science, which was an event where kids and families can come out and just learn about science and get interested in that whole world. So we had a table, we had games, we had crafts, we had little hats that you can make that look like an aleula. We had face painting to make people look like aleula. And so this is actually myself and the winner of our t-shirt from our social media contest. We had people take a picture with aleula sunglasses on, which are these great glasses that have the gallinula on them. And if you post this picture and you tag us, we'll pick a winner. And so we had some really enthusiastic people, and that was our winner. And it was great. We recruited a lot of volunteers. We had people that, they've never even heard of the bird and they've lived in the area their whole lives.
Right.
And so we were able to educate people and, just show them that it can be really fun while you're talking about this serious thing of, we have these endangered birds and they're so important. And we also had a World Wetlands Day Talk Story event on the 19th, and that was to kind of kick off our year-long grant and tell people this is why wetlands are important, this is why it's important to restore the area for the gallinules, all of these things that kind of tie together for
Right.
Keawāwa. So I spoke at this event, and one of my colleagues, Mardi Kawasaki, Kristen Harmon, she also spoke about wetlands in Hawaii in general and the projects that are going on. So we had a lot of really great stuff happening in February.
All right. Thank you so much. Mahi, I understand that our outreach includes a cultural journey, so to speak. And it's with you to guide us, and it's going to build and educate as people learn about the ʻAlaiʻula. Tell us a little bit about what to expect and perhaps your ultimate goal by the end of this year's journey. And what would you like participants to walk away with?
Okay, so the name ʻAlaiʻula, ula is red, just to even break down that name.
Yes.
Ula is red and alai is the mud hen.
Mhm.
Just to know, there's places that have these names. Waiʻalai is not too far from Maunalua,
Yes.
and perhaps we can share with people why these place names exist, or maybe the names themselves give us a glimpse into what was happening before. Maybe
Right.
there was more ʻAlaiʻula in that area, maybe when they had the ponds and other things around.
Mhm.
So part of this cultural journey is with Keawāwa as, let's say, the stage, and the ʻAlaiʻula as one of the stars of the show. They're all stars, the ko, the milo, the coconuts, the niu, all of the plants and animals that live there are a community,
Mhm.
and we are part of that community. And through these grants and other things, we're trying to care for them as we would care for our families. So the ultimate goal, I think, is to have people develop whatever kind of relationship they want with these birds and places and
Yes.
things, and to look at them at a deeper level, perhaps, instead of just pretty bird and pretty landscape, and that they can maybe connect at a level to feel these places, and how, walking there with your kids or your wife or whoever,
Mhm.
and being around these things can be healing for you and beneficial for the community, and get involved and get out there and affect the area. So that's hopefully part of what the journey will be about.
Now you've brought a few special things with you today.
Yeah.
Can you perhaps tell us about them?
Yes, so right here we have two kinds of coconuts, and the Keawāwa area is known for having two of the Polynesian or Hawaiian species. One is this is the ʻLelo. ʻLelo is yellow.
Ah.
So when it's on the tree, it has this like an orange-yellow color.
Mhm.
And these trees are really tall. I want to say they're about 80, 100 feet tall. And this grove has been around for hundreds of years.
Mhm.
And this, you can see the shape here is a little triangular and round. And this particular type, it's believed that it was more for non-ceremonial. So you would use this for food or anything like that. Not too many kapu on this.
Okay.
This is that same niu ʻLelo husk. So you can
Wow.
see the shape.
It's
Actually,
quite
this one has a
round.
sound. Yeah, quite round there. And this one's it's rattling already, so it tells you the age of this one.
Mhm.
It's the niu ʻOkaʻa, which it's already dried, and probably good to make oil out of this one, the meat inside.
Hmm.
And the other niu or coconut from the area is this one here, and this is the niu hiva. Hiva is black,
Okay.
and in Hawaiian culture, a lot of things named hiva or that are black are really special. Black pigs, black
Mhm.
coconuts, and so forth. So this one is a little more oblong, and on the tree it's green, and it goes straight to brown. It doesn't
Wow.
go green, yellow, brown like a lot of other fruits do. And this was used in, the hiva was used in ceremonies for medicine. And sometimes it has a point on some of the other neohiva,
Mm-hmm.
but ours at Keawāwa don't seem to have that.
I see.
And it's a very dry area, so there's a lot of variation in nature, as people know. So I
Right.
think that's how the neo evolved there at Keawāwa over hundreds of years.
Ah,
And so this is the husked version of the hiva right here. And so this one is, if you can see it, one is a little darker.
mm-hmm.
So we have black versus brown.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the ways to tell. So there's nuts this shape on other trees elsewhere that the shell would be brown. So that's one way of identifying the
Okay.
hiva. So very, very fortunate to have both varieties of Hawaiian coconuts there at Keawāwa. It is and must have been a very special place back then as well for them to create this grove.
And then you've made something here.
So I made a apuava.
Oh, wow.
This is a shined up version of a cup. Apu,
Okay.
apu is cup.
Yeah.
This one was made to drink ava, so apuava. And yeah, it's pretty dark. And this
Yeah.
one was oiled with the oil from within the nut.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And that one's from Hawaii.
This is from Hawaii.
Very
Wow.
cool.
Yeah. And this is just another example. This is from the Heiau Pahua, which is also in
Nearby,
Maunalua.
right?
And it's, I don't know if you can see it, but it's brown
Hmm.
versus the black of the
Okay.
shell. So the Ōlelo is, the nut is brown versus the hiva, which is black.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful.
Well, let's talk more about opportunities to connect with us and Keawāwa Wetland and to learn more about ŌleloNet. So, Amanda and Mahi, what more do you have planned this year, and what do you hope to achieve? So, Amanda, I'll start with you.
The most, the closest thing coming up is our second Saturday next week.
Mhm.
So on March 11th, we'll have our second Saturday at the Oahu Club, Keawāwa Wetland. And then we have a couple of events in April that I'll talk about, but our resident biologist, Charles Van Rees, will be coming back in May from Tufts
Oh.
University.
Yes.
And so we'll have a lot of events during the summer, and we'll have a lot of talk story with him. He's a great guy, very charismatic, very intelligent speaker. So we'll have a lot of stuff with him. And some recent stuff that we have coming up is April 2nd, we'll be at the Hawaii Kai Shopping Center with the Rotary Club, doing something very similar to what we did with the Bishop Museum. And just doing outreach and having fun games and crafts and connecting with people, telling people what we're all about. And we'll also be doing that April 17th at the Earth Day event at KCC, and the Earth Day event on April 22nd at Honolulu Zoo. So we have a lot of really awesome stuff coming up.
April is really busy.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of
and-
outreach.
Yeah, and then of course we'll have second Saturday that month as well.
Wow,
Yeah.
so nice. And so, and in the summer, people will get to hear Charles Van Rees speak.
Yeah, and we have a new bird at Keawāwa that we're hoping to band. A new adult that has come in that we would love to figure out where they came from. So we're going to be banding that bird and other gallinules around the island. So Charles will be talking about that as well.
And we have some young ones that might be old enough
Yeah.
to band.
Yeah, we're hoping
Great.
that those juveniles will be old enough. Yeah.
And Mahi, what word would you like to share with our audience about the work you're doing with the Hui this year?
I'm, besides hoping to share a little bit about the cultural connections, I would encourage the viewers to go out and check out these events. And I'm going to do that myself. I'll be joining them at some of these events.
Yes.
And, trying to reconnect to that particular area and the birds themselves. So I think it'll be really fun to have Hawaiian science. So you could use all your senses, including in Hawaiian culture, your na'au, or your the center of your emotions and your knowledge, and people have gut feelings, so everyone has that ability to do it. And some people have other gifts where they can connect to places at a deeper level too. So hoping to learn from all of you and the Hui and everyone at these events about this special bird and this special area and all the love that's being put into caring for them. So pretty awesome. Thank you.
And Amanda, anything else that you'd like to share?
I would say really just this upcoming second Saturday I think is going to be a really great one. We have some good groups coming out, and we should be able to get a lot done. And we usually do a bird tour as well, so we'll go and actually check out the gallinules that live on the property and talk a little bit about the banding and the coding system. So it's a great educational opportunity as well as a cultural and ecological opportunity. So March 11th I think is just a really great day for people to come out.
So March 11th, it'll start around...
It starts about 8:30 a.m.
About 8:30.
And it goes until about 11:30. We provide tools. We always encourage people to bring gloves and some sunscreen, but other than that, we have snacks, we have water, we have tools for people to use, and it's just a lot of fun and a lot of really great community people coming out together.
So that's a really good chance for people to go and be on the land and experience it for themselves, help out, help the birds, and learn something about cultural, because later in the morning do we sometimes have tours of the upland as well?
Most months we're lucky enough to have Galea or other cultural speakers come out. Maybe we'll have Mahi come out. And we're really lucky to have cultural advisors there, which allows us to go into the heiau and talk about the petroglyphs that are there and all the other important cultural aspects of the space.
So I would just encourage everybody to come on out and meet Amanda, Mahi, and others. It's a really special place. A good place to meet new friends and to really help the community.
Yeah.
And we have just another minute. Mahi, can you maybe show us some of the special plants that came from?
Sure,
We have just a few seconds.
So we have, everybody loves flowers, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, this is a little water. This is Kou, K-O-U.
Yeah.
One of the plants planted there and would be found there originally. We have Pohinahina here, which usually has a lavender flower.
Yeah.
And Ilima up there, the yellow one.
Yes.
A lot of beautiful things around besides the birds.
So
including
everyone,
the birds.
come on out and enjoy the plants and the birds and the other wildlife for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.